This is episode number 7, Disconnect or Reconnect? It's a decision. Welcome to Alive by Design. My name is Blake Mallon, and we're here to bring you inspiring people, principles, and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. Open your mind and let's dive in. Hey guys, before you listen to the podcast, I just want to drop in and say I appreciate you for being here, and I'm super excited about this new Walk With Me series. These are solo episodes where I take some time in the middle of my morning run through the Santa Monica Mountains to share some inspired ideas and thoughts on my mind and heart. If you want to join me for any of these conversations live, you can catch me many mornings on my Facebook page, facebook.com/BlakeMallon.page. Would love to see you there. Love you guys. Enjoy the episode.
Walk with me for a minute. So, I have a question on my mind and on my heart this morning, and the question is this. In this crazy time we're in right now, and it's definitely crazy, is this a time to disconnect, or is this a time to reconnect? Think about that. Is this a time to disconnect? Or maybe is this a time to reconnect? Now, I know what you're thinking, right? If you take all of the precautions and advice and everything we're hearing around the novel coronavirus, literally, as we should, for our own safety and health, not only for us, but those around us, it's an interesting time where the actions we take isn't just about us, but the way this virus grows, the actions we take in protecting us is also about protecting those around us. But there's so many. I mean, we're being told, right, to keep social distancing a priority, stay, 6 feet away from others, don't touch. That means no handshakes, right? No hugs. We're not in public areas. Most of us are staying inside our residence for the majority of the day. You listen to all of this, I know the first reaction that probably comes to most of our mind is like, well, Blake, this is definitely a time to disconnect. If there's all times to disconnect, this would be the time to disconnect. We're in a worldwide pandemic. And I agree with all of that advice, and I think we do have to take the advice of the experts that are spending their time and their energy figuring out what is the best direction for all of us, as a society, as humanity right now. But let's go a different direction, because do you have to be in physical space, in physical proximity with others to reconnect? You see, guys, I'm taking a different approach. I think the time we're in right now is an opportunity for us to reconnect in a major way. And when I say reconnect, I mean reconnect kind of on 3 different levels. The first thing is I think this is a time that we can reconnect with each other. This is a time where we're kind of forced, necessity is the mother of all innovation. Necessity inspires creativity. When your back's against the wall, you figure out new ways to move forward. And I think that's what's happening right now with so many different people. And I know that's happening in my household. And, I hope, and maybe this will trigger this to happen more in your household. Now's the time to reconnect with each other more than ever. Who are some relationships that maybe you felt disconnected from? Maybe you got, friends that are out of town. Maybe you got friends that are in town that both lives have been so busy that you haven't been able to reconnect and catch up like you used to. And maybe this is an opportunity for you to do that. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to reconnect with even your own kind of community and, the people around you. You might be thinking, well, Blake, how do you do that? We're not even allowed to get together. Guys, connection isn't about physical proximity. Matter of fact, physical proximity doesn't mean connection at all. We've all been guilty of, I'm sure, sitting in a room or out to dinner or being in physical proximity, same space, shared space with individuals before, but being totally disconnected. How many of you guys right now are kind of looking at the times where you have the opportunity and the privilege to be at a dinner table with people you know and love, or to be at a gathering or an event or an experience, or anywhere in a public area, and everybody's spending their time on their phones? An example of being in shared space but totally disconnected. And the opposite can be true, right? Here's my belief, and I've said this for years. I don't think that shared space or shared proximity is required. Matter of fact, I don't think shared space is what creates connection at all. Like I just said, you can be in the same space and be totally disconnected. I don't think it's about shared space. I think it's about shared experience. Matter of fact, if you think of the relationships that you have the strongest bonds with, the friendships, right, that have stood the test of time, the people that you're closest with, the ones that you can, not see for a while, get back together, and it's just like you never left. It's because we have the most shared experience together. And those shared experiences are what bridge connection. So who says we can't create shared experience right now, even with minding all of the precautions that we need to take? It's interesting. I've seen more of my neighbors in the last week than I've ever seen in any given week. There's a time of the day where you hear kind of voices outside, and you go outside and all the families and the kids are kind of playing out in front of their house. Everybody's on their bikes and their scooters. Now, we're keeping social distance. They're not coming in touch or communicating, but man, it's an amazing thing to see everybody kind of come outside and wow, we're apart, yet we're together, creating connection. It's interesting. Earlier this week, a couple days ago, my wife Karis had the idea. She's like, well, let's do a Zoom dinner. I'm like, a Zoom dinner? Yeah. So we took a television, and instead of hooking it up to the cable, we put it at the end of the dining room table, and we hooked up a laptop, little speaker, threw on Zoom. And this week we started hosting kind of Zoom dinners where we get together or just have a little conversation virtually with people that are in their houses, creating an experience, shared experience. Who are people that you can reconnect with right now? What are ways we can get creative to go reconnect with people that are important to us in our lives? You guys, I think driving that connection is more important right now than ever. And I think now is the time we can reconnect with each other. How about reconnecting with our family? Obviously, the most important relationships that I think we have is our own family, our own loved ones. And I think now is the time we can take advantage of that. Most of us are spending more time right now with our spouses and our kids in close proximity than ever before. And I know that can be a challenge. I know with all of the homeschooling and having to learn, and especially if you have little ones like us, my son's 4, my daughter's almost 2, man, it's a lot to keep contained in a house for a long period of time. And as challenging as that may be, it's also an opportunity for us to reconnect and do things that maybe we never would have done or never have had the chance to do with our own family. In my household, we've been playing games together we never would have played. Getting ultra creative with the things that we have. We've been having a lot of picnics, a lot of sunset picnics, whether we walk up on this trail that I'm on right now, a little wet today from the rains that have come, right in my backyard, and just doing a picnic at sunset, or even if it's a picnic in your own backyard, having a little picnic, right, for dinner time to get outside. Go do something, go see something, minding social distancing, taking precautions, but being together, getting creative with some of the games and some of the ways that we play. You guys, what are things right now that you can do with your family to create connection, maybe get closer to your own loved ones? I've had more phone calls with my parents, my mom and my dad in the last week, right? More times at higher frequency, I'm ashamed to say, than I have in years. Because, guys, this is a time that's forcing us to evaluate what's important. It's forcing us to realize relationships and health are at the top of our priority list. And you know what? It doesn't matter if we're in different locations. We can reconnect with our family now more than ever before. The tools in the digital age, whether you're using FaceTime or Zoom or, social media, now's a time where you can reconnect. I challenge you. How can you use this time not as a time to, worry about being lonely or being alone? How can you shift the script, so to speak, and use this time to reconnect with the people that are most important to you? And lastly, not just reconnect with each other, not just reconnect with our family, but maybe this is a time where we can reconnect with ourselves. Reconnect with ourselves. We're in a forced pause right now, a forced stillness right now. Just by the sake of not having to commute or drive or travel because you can't, you have more time, which means make sure you're taking some time for yourself, taking some time for self-care, not only to make your health a priority, but not just physical health, guys. Mental health is just as important. To use this time to reconnect with yourself. So many of us, especially in today's day and age, at the fast-paced life, have been running, so focused on being, that maybe this is an opportunity to pause for a minute and kind of evaluate, in the midst of all the being, who are we becoming? And is the person you're becoming the person that you're meant to be? The person that you want to be, right? The person that you're going to be proud of being when it's all said and done and you look back on. Guys, now's the time to evaluate. It's a time to force reflect. It's a time to review. It's a time to reconnect with ourselves. Maybe pick up a journal. I've been doing it. Whether it's a journal on your phone, little notes, or an actual hardcover book and that pen in hand and you let the thoughts flow. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Maybe it's the time you start journaling. Maybe it's the time you reevaluate goals of what you want. Maybe it's the time to refresh. Maybe it's the time you set certain goals you want to accomplish during the quarantine. What are your 30, 60, 90-day goals that you can do this time to improve, to get better, to reconnect? To maybe shed some of the layers and get back to not who we're supposed to be. Not who society wants us to be, not who all the pressures and people around us suggest us to be. But may we get back and asking ourselves the real questions. Who is it that we're meant to be? And how can we use that time to reconnect to who that person is and come out of this better? So guys, I know at face value, let's take the precautions, let's listen to the experts. Health first, not just for you and your loved ones, but for all of us around you. But let's also use this time not to disconnect, but let's use this as a time to reconnect. Reconnect to each other, reconnect to our family and loved ones, and reconnect to ourselves. And won't that be a giant irony? It took a worldwide pandemic of forced physical disconnection to get us as individuals, us as our family, and maybe us as a society to reconnect the way we're meant to. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I ask you to ask yourself that question. Are you using this time in quarantine to disconnect or reconnect? Have a great day, everybody.
Hey guys, one last thing. I'm super excited that this new podcast, The Live by Design, just went live, and I want to celebrate by giving away $500 cash to 5 lucky winners over the first 5 weeks. You see, I designed the show to bring you inspired thoughts and fascinating conversations with the world's most impactful people, to provide transformative principles and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. And I'd love for you to help me spread the word now. So to enter the giveaway, follow 3 simple steps. Step 1, simply subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on this platform right now. Step 2, find this giveaway video post on my Instagram @BlakeMallon or my Facebook or LinkedIn profile and share it to your Instagram story or your Facebook and LinkedIn profile. When all done, simply comment "alive" and tag 3 friends on that same post. Weekly winners will be chosen randomly and announced publicly on my Instagram and Facebook story each of the first 5 Saturdays after launch. Would really appreciate your support, so if I've ever given you value, please do me this personal favor and go subscribe now. And if you found today's episode helpful in any way, make sure you share this with at least one friend today. You have the power right now to change someone's day. So send them a text message with a link to alivebydesign.com or simply copy and paste the link right from this podcast platform. Who's one person you know right now that you want to see succeed, that you want to see grow, that you want to see feel more alive? Shoot them a text with your largest takeaway from today and be a light in their day. And if you were referred here by a friend, make sure you shoot them a text back and say thank you. I'd love to hear from you directly on what you got from today's podcast. So if you're up for it, drop by my Instagram @BlakeMallon and shoot me a DM. And as always, thank you for showing up. I'm grateful for you. And I hope our time together today in some small way helped you feel a little more alive. Until next time.